All right, thank you so much. I use my hands a lot when I talk, so I'm hoping to hold on to this thing well. But wow, I'm so excited to talk to so many leaders in this community, my community. I've lived here for about 9 years after I moved down to attend SIUE, and I loved it so much I just never left. So I think you're a big part of that. Now, while I was in school, I studied linguistics and anthropology. I immersed myself in other languages, other cultures, and other stories. And now I run my own practice as an authenticity coach. And I'm going to use both of those backgrounds as I talk to you today. I'm going to tell you about how the stories we tell as humans are actually maps. Maps that reveal our path to living lives of confidence and purpose and fulfillment, right? Now, I'm going to give you some tools to help you start to embody those qualities as well. And since we're talking about stories, we're going to throw in some twists and some turns, a little bit of intrigue along the way as I answer that question I know is burning in your mind. He said he's a what now? Yeah. All right. Well, we will answer that question. First, what I want to do is dig into some of the reasons that people wouldn't live a life of confidence, fulfillment, and purpose, right? So sit back, relax. We're going to do a little bit of story time. Okay? And when we were young, we believed in magic, right? We believed in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and uncles that could pull quarters out of our ears. If you were like me, you fully expected to see this guy at the grocery store, right? Make-believe, it came naturally to us, didn't it? Princes and princesses and dragons, they were commonplace. And if the movie didn't have a magical spell and a valiant rescue, we didn't want it. We giggled without limitation. We danced like no one was watching. And the truth is, we wouldn't have cared if they were, because we were innocent. We were boundless. We were whole. Then life stepped in. We learned to be embarrassed. We learned to play by society's rules. And we picked up a few things along the way as well. Masks. We learned to smile when we were sad. We learned to like the things that would make us popular and accepted, and hide the things that might cause rejection, right? In order to survive, in order to be accepted, we pretended to be who we thought we needed to be. And kids, they are really good at pretending, okay? So eventually, we pretended well enough, for long enough, that we forgot there was anyone behind the mask to begin with. Now, I'm not saying society's evil, right? Our norms and our values, they're the bedrock of civilization. But this order does come at a cost, okay? Despite the fact that we're living at the height of technological innovation, 1 in 5 are experiencing anxiety. A greater number are dealing with depression, and that number is actually rising. Substance abuse is still devastating homes and communities. And loneliness is now so broad spread, it's considered a public health crisis. And we know the root of this pain. We know the silent grief of compromise. We know that hollow feeling whenever our kids come up and they say, "Mommy, I want to be a dancer when I grow up." And we say, "That's nice, honey, but it's not going to pay the bills." Right? Become hyper-functional, but disconnected. So, what are you saying the problem is here, Jake? I'm saying this. There's the person we think we are, and then there's the person we actually are. And that person has been hidden under years, sometimes decades, of adaptation, of appeasement, of self-denial. We feel unfulfilled because we're chasing the dreams of a person we only pretended to be. And we left the desires of our authentic self in the dark. All right? I'm not the only one saying this either. Milton Erickson, the psychotherapist, he said, patients are patients because they're out of rapport with their unconscious. And Tony Robbins, the famous motivational speaker, he says, pain exists when life conditions don't match your internal blueprint. So that gap between where we are and where we wish to be, that's where suffering makes its home. And that pain, that tension, it's actually a compass. I would say it a little bit differently than these guys. I would say that this disease, this dis-ease within us, is the war cry of our most authentic self, the one that we hid. It's rebelling against a life that we built that won't allow it to be free. Okay? So, what are you saying here, Jake? Am I supposed to go play make-believe? Right? I've got a job, a house, I've got kids. I can't just go hide under a rock. No, the solution is not escape. It's a quest. All right? What is cooler than a quest? So that original self, whole, curious, and free, it still exists. It's hidden behind that mask. Your compromises, they formed a maze, and its center lies your authenticity, your purpose, your treasure. Now, like any good treasure, there has to be a treasure map, right? Yeah, there is. Good news, I have it. And for the low cost of 3 easy payments in 1995, yours too. No, I'm joking. I have the map, and so do you. What if I told you that the fairy tales, the myths, the legends from when you were a kid, the princess and the dragon, they weren't just stories? What if I told you they were training manuals in disguise? That's what this guy said. Joseph Campbell, he was a scholar of world mythology and religion, and he discovered something incredible. That no matter where in time or place, when people were there, whether it was ancient Greece or Africa, Southwest America to Aboriginal Australia, they were all telling the same fundamental story. He called this pattern the hero's journey. And he said that this story is universal because the story of transformation is the human story, right? Now let's look at what this might look like in a story you're familiar with. The story of Luke Skywalker. Luke's a farm boy. He's lived an ordinary life on Tatooine until he stumbles upon a mysterious message in a droid. He has to get some help interpreting that message, so he goes to the wise old Ben Kenobi. And together, they set off on an adventure. They meet Han Solo and Chewie and Princess Leia, and guided by the Force, they destroy the evil Death Star. They bring peace to the galaxy. And then Luke starts his journey as a Jedi Knight. Follows this pattern, right? There's a call to adventure. There's a mentor. There's new friends and new enemies. There's a great ordeal. And then there's a return home with wisdom. Something he didn't have before, and something he only could have gotten through the journey itself. Now, I could tell you the story of Theseus or Anansi, Katniss Everdeen, or Frodo Baggins, and it would all follow the same basic structure, right? Because these stories, they stick with us because the story of transformation, it's our internal blueprint for transformation, okay? The heroes that we love, they reflect the best and bravest parts of who we can be. They live the lives we aspire to live. My question is, what if we walked this path on purpose, right? What if we set out on a quest in pursuit of the truth beneath the pretense to bridge the gap between the person that we think we are and the person that we aspire to be, the person we were before the world told us we needed to be anything else? Now, you may not live on a desert planet with 2 suns like Luke did, but your story has the ability to follow the exact same pattern to bring out the best and bravest version of who you are. Now, if this is a map, let me show you what you might expect on this road to authenticity. Stage 1 is the ordinary world. It looks normal. It's life behind the mask. You're checking all the boxes, but something feels off. Your call to adventure, that's when you start to acknowledge that war cry I talked about. Now, that could be a crisis. Could be a job loss, could be a health scare, could be a relationship that breaks down. Could be something really subtle, right? Could be a book you read or a conversation you have. Maybe some bald guy is telling you about stories and it evokes images in your mind of a way that your life might be in misalignment with what you want it to be, right? Whatever it is, something stirs. And unfortunately, a lot of us get stuck here, right? We weigh the cost, we hesitate, we make excuses. What if I fail? What will people think? Unfortunately, like Jonah and the whale, the longer we wait, the bigger the problem becomes. And that's because once we acknowledge this pain, like a hangnail or a cold sore, it starts to become the only thing we can see until it blows up to something really big. This is actually a good thing, because when we can no longer stand it, we seek out the people and the resources that can help us get to where we want to go. Could be a teacher, a therapist, could be a coach like me. Maybe it's a story you hear that helps you see the world in a little different way. Or maybe you just start listening to your own intuition. Either way, congratulations, because you now have everything you need to hit rock bottom. And no, it's not what it sounds like, right? It's not strung out on the street. What this is the moment where the pain of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, right? You say, enough is enough. I choose truth over pretense. I choose authenticity over comfort. I will live my life on my terms, not according to what somebody else says I need to do. And this is actually your first test. This is going to show you who's been holding you back from who you can become and who will propel you forward. Brene Brown, she says that our ability to experience true belonging is directly proportional to our capacity for vulnerability. So in an effort to show our true selves, we put ourselves out there. And it isn't always a happily ever after like this fairy tales. Sometimes the people we thought we were safe with are going to reject us. But beautiful. Rejection is a filter. It shows us who wants us for who we really are and who wants us for what we pretended to be. And we're going to need these allies that we've just found because the true trial is up next. This is the dragon from the fairy tales. This is the boss level in the video game. It's the Death Star. This is where we don't just take off the masks. We begin to uncover the things that we buried for so long we didn't even know they were there. And unlike the previous stage that tested others' ability to accept us for who we are, this stage tests our own ability to accept ourselves, no matter what we find. Now, this is where we uproot the beliefs that we inherited about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, about who we can be, about who we can't be, and we choose for ourselves. We cut away the rot. It's the hardest, the most confusing, the most difficult part of the journey, but it's so worth it. Because what happens after you slay the dragon? Right? That reunion between the prince and the princess in the stories, that's actually the reunion of you with your authentic self, with the life that you were meant to live. You've done the work, you know who you are now, and you feel unstoppable. And that's a good thing, because the road's not over yet. This is where we bring it back into our lives. We integrate it into life, into work, into our relationships. Maybe it shows up as healthy boundaries for the first time. Boundaries, the distance at which I can love both you and me at the same time, right? Maybe it shows up as no longer hiding your talent. You go play that open mic night you've been dying to play, and whenever you finally hear people clap for you, it fills you with joy you didn't know you could have, right? So now you know the cost, but you also know the benefit, and you're ready to commit. This is the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's the hero coming up from the underworld. This is where you're no longer playing at authenticity, you embody it. You see the ways you used to be and held yourself back, and you say, no, I choose something different. The life that you used to live was designed to serve a person you no longer even recognize. So you change it. Maybe it's your career. You choose something that aligns with your heart instead of your family's expectations, right? Maybe it's that relationship that you stayed in where you had to hide who you really were to get love, and you step away from it. Whatever it is, you design your life for the person we're always meant to be. You don't settle for anything less. But what's beautiful is everything up till this point has been transformation for ourselves. What's next is the most exciting part. This is the return. This is Prometheus coming back down the mountain with fire. It's Frodo bringing peace to all of Middle-earth, not just the hobbits, right? Your presence becomes a gift. You live with purpose, you lead with truth, and you become a beacon for what's possible for all of those who haven't yet begun their own journey. Okay? Now, you've heard the phrase, change your story, change your life. This is what it's all about. It's waking up on the page of your life that's currently unfolding and realizing I'm not just a character, I'm the author. It's realizing that every challenge, every mask you've worn, every misstep along the way, none of it was wasted. It was plot development. Okay, it was the necessary ingredients for your gift to form. Peter Parker was bitten by a spider. Harry Potter lived in a cupboard, and like a bunch of other weird stuff too. No struggle, no transformation. No transformation, no story worth telling. Okay? Your life hasn't been a series of missteps or wrong turns. It's been the perfect setup for an epic comeback. This is a lot of what I do in my coaching practice, right? We reframe history. We rewrite narratives. We locate where we are in the story so we can begin living intentionally from here on out. And it isn't all swords and stones and evil uncles. Sometimes it's as simple as picking up a hobby that you used to love and watching everything else fall into place. Because your life, it doesn't need to be fully replaced, it just needs to be reclaimed. And when we see people take that power back, individuals, they thrive. People are in the right roles in their jobs, so companies grow, communities flourish. But how to actually do it? Well, transformation, it's 90% awareness, okay? If you're walking along and I say, hey, you're gonna step on that nail, you change course, right? I hope you do. 90% awareness. The other 10% is just being honest with what you find and taking action on it. So I'm gonna give you 5 things that can begin to help you get familiar with that voice that maybe you silenced a long time ago. 1, notice your energy. All right, I'm gonna have you make 2 lists. First list, activities, people, and places that leave you feeling more alive, right? We want these in our lives. List number 2, activities, places, and people that leave you feeling depleted. That misalignment, that reveals your true self, what you really want. Number 2, listen to resistance and stop doing what you hate. One of my favorite authors, Dan Sullivan, he says, procrastination is wisdom. Tells us what we shouldn't be doing. Can I get some hands here? I want to know who here hates yard work. Okay, we got a few hands. All right, everybody with your hand up. I just found a bunch of people who would love to do what you hate with a smile on their face. Everybody with your hand down. I found a few people who want to pay you to do something you like, right? For everything you hate, there is someone who would love it. So stop robbing them and do what you love instead. The produce of duty, never as good as that born of passion. 3, follow your jealousy. Jealous? What? Me? I could never. Okay, let's change it. You know those things you appreciate about other people? The things that maybe you don't have? Maybe it's their creativity, their freedom. Maybe it's their assertiveness. When you see that next time, ask yourself this question. What part of me resonates with that? So often these things that trigger us are actually just aspects of ourselves that we haven't given ourselves permission to express. So find them. Give yourselves permission. You are allowed. Revisit some childhood dreams. Ask yourself this. Before I was practical, what did I love? What made time disappear? Was it playing with Legos? Was it writing? Was it playing music? Figure that out. Bring it back into your life, even just once a week, and see what else flourishes. It's incredible what happens whenever you start to feed that authentic self. And last but not least, create a safe space for this, okay? Your authentic self, it doesn't have to show up everywhere all at once. It makes a mess. I can tell you from experience. So take baby steps, okay? Maybe it's a journal that nobody else is going to read. Maybe it is an art project nobody else is going to see. Maybe it's a trusted friend that you can truly share your unfiltered thoughts with without judgment. Whatever it is, just start small and get those reps in. In conclusion, the world doesn't need more perfect pretenders, hiding under layers of appeasement. It needs your authentic gifts, your unique voice, your true self. And when you come back home to the person that you were always meant to be, everything else falls into place. You're less irritable. You have more energy. You're surrounded by the people who want you for who you are, not who you pretended to be. Right? You're more present with your partner, with your kids, with your friends, because you're actually getting what you need. You're filling your cup so you can fill those of others. Doesn't that sound nice? I'm going to leave you today with an invitation. All right? I invite you to accept that you were born whole, and that wholeness is still in there, just waiting to be found. Recognize that the pain is not a defect. It's your soul sending up a flare saying, rescue me. Understand, it's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering someone old. Know deep in your bones that every misstep, every mistake is not wasted. It has prepared you for this moment. And trust that you already have everything you need. Those stories that you've known since childhood have prepared you for that journey, and the path is already inside of you. Every journey begins with a step. So tonight, take 10 minutes, right? Make those 2 lists that I told you about. The one that gives you energy, the one that depletes it. Because the journey home to yourself may be the most important adventure that you'll ever take for yourself, for your family, for your community. All that's left is to answer the call. Thank you very much.